Dear Cartoon Network, I recently stumbled across something very disgusting on your channel called Billy and Mandy. I found it vile, rude, and deeply disturbing.
You said it, sister!
The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Like how I worked the title in like that?
We all know it, we all love it, but it is crazy to see how far it went. Created by Maxwell Adams, this show went from a pilot to a 6-season-long success, running for over 6 years.
If I weren't making cartoons, I think I'd probably be living in a cardboard box somewhere, because there's really not anything else I can do. I have no valuable skills that serve society in any useful way.
It's weird to think that this show had like checkerboard bumpers with stuff like Powerpuff Girls and Dexter. It just feels kind of newer. Maybe it's because that stuff happened back when it was still grim and evil. Also, don't forget to check out my video on Evil Con Carne. The show did split from when it became its own thing. Gotta get that cross promotion. But we're not here today to talk about the entire show. That would take too long and I got Thanksgiving leftovers to eat. So let's compromise. Nothing quite says Thanksgiving than gathering around for a movie. And luckily, Billy and Mandy have two, Big Boogie Adventure and Wrath of the Spider Queen. Underfist also counts, but that one doesn't really focus on the main crew, so we'll skip that one for now. If you want a video about that, go check out D-Dubman. I even make a little cameo in it. Go check it out. You guys watching it might ease the fact that I'm about to pass him in subscribers. But today, we're only focusing on the other two. So let's see how good this hateful little fart cartoon did in the movie department. I'm your host, an ancient Sumerian curse, D'Angelo Edwards. And today, I'm taking my hat off to the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy movies.
Cartoon Network. 1, 2.
Here I go, I'm about to freak the flow. About the
Cartoon Network.
and things they show. We got the super adventures, tune heads, and late night. It's black and white, but everything's alright. But I'll break it down a little bit more. Tell you what they have in store, what his tunes you're looking for. We got Fred Flintstone and Bonnie Rubble, my man.
We need to get through that vortex, Erwin. Maybe we can make things right again the way they were before. Horrors.
Alright, first off, we have Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure, which premiered on Cartoon Network on March 30th, 2007. Just a few days before my birthday. You couldn't have waited? And the DVD came out on April 3rd, a day after my birthday. Why are you trying to dodge me, Maxwell? No, whatever. I remember back when they announced this movie. The marketing for it was crazy. They even had like full puppets made for the commercials. I've said this before, but I miss that little extra mile they used to go for stuff like this. And watching these again has me feeling it.
Dragula don't know about you guys, but let's get back to the movie. Roll it!
I'm actually glad we got this movie so late in the series. Pretty much everything about the characters had already been nailed down, so this movie was used to explore some of that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What's this movie about?
Your Huggy Bear is here to maul you with love, yo.
Big Boogie Adventure follows Billy, Mandy, Grim, and even Erwin as they race against the Boogeyman, who has gotten Grim's status as the Grim Reaper revoked. Which, to be fair, he does lose his scythe a lot. Like, I mean a lot.
This is not true that not only was your scythe stolen by a headless man wearing a pumpkin on his neck, but it was also taken by Billy, Mandy, Erwin, Billy's father, Billy's mother, Billy's cousin, Billy's cat, Dracula, General Scar, and a turkey salad sandwich? Hold the mail.
With his job gone, Grim is left without his scythe or any of his powers. But don't worry, they got a good replacement.
Who's gonna be the Grim Reaper if I'm not the Grim Reaper?
Oh, hey there! It's me, number 3. I just wanted to thank you, Boogie, for giving me this opportunity.
Yep. Number 3 from Kids Next Door shows up to fill Grim's shoes. This would actually go on to foreshadow the Grim Adventures of the K&D, a crossover event between both of the shows. But back to the movie. The main event of the film is the race, with Boogie leading his pirate crew against our boys, who struggled to keep up without the use of Grim's powers. The race is all leading to Horror's Hand, an ancient artifact that makes the person wielding it the scariest person around. I think that's pretty cool, man. I always wanted to the glove that turned me into Suge Knight. There's even a B-plot that shows the characters in the future, fighting against the Lord of Horror, with robot versions of Billy and Mandy sent back in time to stop the kids.
So you and me can be friends now, right?
Suggestion.
But because they don't have Grimm's scythe to back them up, we get to see each of the characters shine in other ways. Billy is as stupid as ever, but throughout the movie, in his own weird ways, he comes through for the team pretty often, even distracting Boogie and his crew long enough for them to escape, with a very catchy song I might add. Erwin gets to look cool for a bit in front of Mandy, even kissing her for the first time in the series. You can guess Mandy's reaction to that. Speaking of Mandy, we get to see a sweeter side of her in this movie, as there's a moment where it looks like Billy is gone for good. Of course, this is a kid's show, so we know he's fine, and more importantly, this is Billy and Mandy, and these characters beef it all the time, so no big deal. But in that moment, Mandy actually looked really sad that Billy might be dead, showing that deep down, she really does care about her friends, even if they're mostly just her pawns. Besides the bonus characterization, the other thing this movie has going for it is the presentation. They definitely ramped it up for this, going for some pretty ambitious shots. And the main setting of the movie, the Underworld Sea, looks great, with plenty of different locations and obstacles to overcome. The team did a great job designing and storyboarding everything, and all this on top of the fact that this movie is hilarious. There's a gag where Mandy shuts the door on Erwin, he just like reappears in front of her, and the face she makes is the funniest thing every time. And this movie has my #1 Billy and Grimm interaction in it.
I want to plead guilty!
Shut up!
Both the voice actors and the animation team really brought it. They even got Voltaire back to do the title song. And it's crazy that it turned out this well, considering it was Maxwell's first movie, or even just his first project over an hour. Doesn't mean that there weren't any rough spots though. They had to work on this on top of finishing the season they were already working on. Most of the time when a cartoon has a movie, the movie is a separate order outside of the show. It's the reason that this and a lot of other cartoon movies and specials get left off of streaming. There's different copyrights for stuff like this. It's really stupid and the worst thing capitalism has ever done. I don't care if people are starving, I just want to watch the big picture show. They also had some problems with some of the casting. Before they settled on number 3 to play the replacement Reaper, they tried to get a celebrity to take the role, settling on Pamela Anderson. But Cartoon Network wanted a bigger get. But Maxwell took one look at the list they brought up and knew that they wouldn't be able to get any of those people. Like, I don't think Angelina Jolie wants to be in the Hateful Little Fart cartoon. But when they ran out of time filling the role, that's when Mr. Warburton stepped in with the idea to put number 3 in it. You can read all about it on Maxwell's Tumblr and in an old article on Newsarama interviewing him. Anyway, this movie is a classic. Cool set pieces, great animation, and some actual character development make this stand out from the typical TV movie fare. They probably could have shaved like 10 minutes off of it though, if they wanted, but it doesn't really bother me. There's even a little Easter egg in it for Underfist, which will premiere the next year. When they show Haas Delgado, who is not in the movie as the credits point out, you can see a poster for it in the background. Never noticed it before. Just a cool little detail in a cool little movie. One last thing though. In the credits, Erwin is shown to have gotten both cooties and mono after kissing Mandy, so she might want to get tested.
Cartoon Network. All right, boys. Cartoon Network.
1, a 2.
Here I go.
I'm afraid I've brought about the wrath of the Spider Queen. Like how I worked the title in like that?
After Big Boogie Adventure, only a few months later, on July 6, 2007, Wrath of the Spider Queen will premiere on Cartoon Network. Looking back at the timeline, it's crazy that these things came out nearly back to back. You can tell this was their final season because they just wanted to do anything they could. And this one starts off pretty good because Miss Butterbean is there. Top tier Billy and Mandy girl. This one is a little different than Boogie because even though it's billed as a movie, this one is definitely more of a special. And I remember it airing more than Big Boogie Adventure, probably because it was actually split into episodes. It follows the gang as Jeff the Spider, Billy's foster son, long story there, returns to tell Billy that he is getting married. Unfortunately, he's getting married to Velma Green, the Spider Queen. Oh man, she's hideous. Hold on, I can still make this work. Alright, we're back in business. So, yep, the Spider Queen is here to reign in the new age of the spiders. But before she gets to that, she has some unfinished business with Grimm.
You've come to pay me back the $2 you owe me from 8th grade?
No, I've come to claim my rightful place as Reaper. And in order to do that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to eat your head.
Which means that both of these movies are about people stealing Grimm's powers. Poor dude. This one is a whole lot more brutal though. Boogie just took his dumb stick. He never tried to devour him. Though looking at Velma, there are worse ways to go out. While I definitely prefer Boogie Adventure, because that one is more so structured as, well, a movie, so it feels a lot more grand in scale. Spider Queen is still a fun, if maybe overstuffed special. A lot of it takes place in the past, showing young Grimm and how he used to be friends with Velma, until they had to go up against each other in the Reaper election. Which I feel like that's the third or fourth retcon about how Grimm became the Grim Reaper. It's cool getting to see the younger versions of all the characters we've grown to love. We see Eris, Boogie, even Lord Payne.
Whoa there! Do something that would make me want to tattoo your image all over my body.
We are not going to talk about Lord Payne. In the present, however, we have Mandy teaming up with Mindy of all people, a spoiled popular girl who tries to get the best of the crew most days.
Yeah, keep doing that, Einstein. Einstein only had one outfit that he wore over and over. I laugh at your heroes, Mandy. Laugh!
It's actually a pretty fun pairing and leads to one of the best parts of the episode, a giant fight between the girls and the spiders. But I wish that more of it took place outside of the school. Even though, to the movie's credit, they make the school look really cool with all the spiders and webs and stuff, but the flashback parts are also in a school, so we just end up seeing a bunch of school. I was a kid watching this, I had seen enough school. I would have loved to see maybe like the Spider Queen's lair or something, or maybe just a bit more time with her in general. She's a fun character. She's played by Kari Walgren, so you know she's gonna bring it, and she even gives her like an Eartha Kitt kind of quality that I'm really into. And speaking of things I'm into, while this one isn't as funny as the previous movie, there are still tons of jokes in here that I love.
It's the Eagles! Billy has come with the Eagles!
There's an eagle on my butt!
This movie also serves as an end to Billy hating Jeff for being a spider, at least until the credits roll up.
You know, Dad, this is exactly how I imagined having a real father would be. I'm so happy that you've not only accepted me as a son, but as a spider.
Yeah, you're a spider? Get out! Get out!
It was a cool 7-minute run though, but that time has passed. And that's pretty much Wrath of the Spider Queen. A fun little special that introduced a character I wish they would have done more with. But the show only had a few more months to go, so I can understand why it didn't happen. While the scope was pushed back, and a few things went on for a bit too long for my taste, it was still really cool. Mindy and Mandy make a good team, and it was kinda sweet seeing Billy accept Jeff, even if it was only briefly. And again, I got to see Miss Butterbean, which is always a win in my book. Billy and Mandy really was a show that pulled out all the stops, and its movies were no exception. They were a really talented team to make something this good on their first try, and it makes me really nostalgic for the days of event-based TV. These things used to be the talk of the schoolyard back in the day, and it's a shame that they don't do them as often as they used to. The closest feeling I've gotten to that lately was the Steven Universe movie and the Capture the Flag special that Craig of the Creek did, but nobody does it like old Cartoon Network used to do it, and these movies are proof of that. So, if you can still move after all that food you just ate, why not pop one of these movies on? You might think I'm dating the video by saying that, but I live in America, which means this statement is evergreen, baby.